What's up guys? Welcome to AnimeKouhai. If you'd like to help me out, please hit the like button and subscribe to my channel.
The multifaceted barrage put the stops on the high-speed maneuvering Gobta's team was best at. They were surrounded by tanks and the infantry accompanying them, and they didn't care how many friendlies this strategy killed.
This is bad. I'm not sure we can keep going with this operation.
Gobta grew upset. Benimaru's strategy was faltering. Seeing the Imperial forces get shot by their own allies made even Gobta panic a bit.
I'm sorry, Gobta. I'd love to help you, but we've got our hands full.
Gabil's force, meanwhile, was being exposed to aerial bombardment. The tank guns might not have been able to hit them, but those tanks were also equipped with machine guns, successfully keeping Team Hiryu in check. Now Gaster, the man in command, had fully regained his composure. The difference in numbers had become a decisive advantage, and bad news often tends to come in groups.
Sorry to keep you, Lieutenant General.
The Flying Combat Corps, led by Major General Faraga, had just shown up. They were 100 airships strong, and now they were Gabil's problem, just as Gobta was facing an even more difficult situation.
It's about time, Faraga. It's a dead end for them now. Now's the perfect time to test out our top-secret magic cancelers, isn't it?
There's no beating you, Lieutenant General. In that case, let's see if we can't get in on this.
We'll share the credit today. Don't get sloppy.
Yes, sir. Good luck to you.
Gaster and Faraga, speaking on a special closed line, swore to fight together. For Gaster, he wanted to make sure this op was rock solid. For Faraga, this was a warm-up before the main course and a way to show he could be useful in real battle. Despite piloting such valuable airships, the Flying Combat Corps occupied the lowest rung among the three divisions. In his mind, they needed to start making a name for themselves, and with him in the fray now, things were starting to look bleak for the Tempest Force. Gobta's riders, of course, understood the change of tides better than anyone.
What do you say, Commander Gobta?
This ain't gonna work. Let's get outta here.
A good idea. With the situation changed, there is no need to force matters.
Gobta made the right decision. From the get-go, he'd had one golden rule drilled into him. Don't try to force your strategy, and if something unforeseen happens, retreat to fight another day. And with Benimaru, who had overseen the riders for quite a long time, giving the retreat order, every one of the goblins realized the danger. Even in fleeing, they all worked in unison, turning around without the slightest delay. Then they tried shadow motion to retreat, but
Gobta, the enemy is not that unintelligent. They have begun a magic jamming operation that prevents you from engaging shadow motion.
Ranga gave the warning the moment he sensed something was wrong, but it came a little too late. Even by then, the goblins were already under the influence of the Empire's wide-ranging magic interference. Ranga might have been able to sprint his way out of it, but the rest of his kin couldn't. The only way out was to run.
Everyone, head to the forest as fast as you can.
Gobta was frantic as he shouted, and the goblin riders quickly heeded him. They had about 600 feet of terrain between them and the woods. It'd usually take 10 or so seconds to traverse, but being shot at from behind like this, it seemed hopelessly far away. It was now a battle to retreat, and it would prove to be one filled with hardship. Looking at the fleeing goblins, Gaster flashed a brutal smile, then quickly ordered his crew to prepare the tank gun on their vehicle. Don't think you bastards are getting off that easy. They would be using the special ammunition on board. There was just one round left. Following his order, it was loaded into the gun and fired without delay. This special round landed in the forest in front of the goblins, instantly spreading intense flames across it. The aim was to block their path, and while they could use their super-honed intuition to dodge incoming shells, there wasn't much they could do when their route of escape was burning.
Bad news there. Geez. I wonder if I'm gonna make it back alive?
You better not kid around like that, Gobta. If I'm here, we're all coming back, got it?
You're always super confident, aren't you, Gobto? Hearing all that baseless confidence, I feel like a doofus for worrying about anything.
I wonder if Commander Gobta is worried too?
What are you talking about? If he is, it's probably over what's for dinner tonight. That or how he'll apologize to Rigger for partying with Sir Rimuru until late.
The goblin riders started laughing, Gobchi and Gobta joining the mix. It was a desperate situation, but the goblins hadn't lost their usual swagger, and with his ears honed, Gaster overheard the entire conversation. Don't you dare mess with me. Now that you're fully surrounded, your fates are in my hands. Gaster's heart burned with passion, but in front of his gaze, there was now a beautiful woman with pure white hair, Testarossa. Her face looked cool, despite the blasts of hot air surrounding her, and she didn't seem the least bit threatened by the flying bullets. And you, too. I'll never forgive you for messing with me like that. That pretty little face of yours will be weeping in terror. Gaster was not personally conscious of the faint, dark desires within himself. He hadn't noticed that his fascination with Testarossa was causing him to make increasingly rash decisions, so with his face evilly twisted, he made another order.
All remaining vehicles! Fire our tank guns at the enemy!
The order completely ignored the safety of the remaining forces on the left flank, busy hassling the goblins, but nobody was going to argue the point with him, so the remaining 1,000 tanks turned their guns around, just as the fortress wall of tanks was checking the goblin riders' moves, adjusting their angle, applying anti-shock protection to withstand the force of firing at point-blank range. The muzzles of these deadly, life-reaping tanks were ready to flash in unison. Fierce battle was also unfolding in the skies, the airships launching all sorts of enhanced magic. Gabil and his team found themselves at a loss to respond. The magicule flows around them had been disrupted. The Empire's top-secret magic cancellers were affecting Gabil just as badly as the goblin riders.
What a menace. The closer we get to those flying ships, the heavier our bodies get.
What now, Sir Gabil?
I'd like to go help the goblins, but there's no time for that.
They might have had the time if it was Team Hiryu alone, but they were accompanied by the Wyvern Riders as well, and they lacked real battle experience. Any wrong moves, and both Gobta's and Gabil's forces could fall at the same time.
We have no choice. We'll take those ships down first. We have the numerical advantage. Team Hiryu, concentrate on the enemy in front of you.
You got it, boss. But they're bigger than us, aren't they? Comparing our numbers may not matter. Shut up, you moron. Sir Gabil knows that, but that's the only order he can give us.
There's always one person in the crowd who can't get the picture. But despite that exchange, Gabil and his cohorts prepared to dive right into full-scale battle with the fleet of airships. One of the pilots aboard regarded Gabil and his force with cold, cruel eyes. This was Major General Faraga, leader of the Empire's vaunted Flying Combat Corps. He was very capable, with a hunger for promotion to match. No officer wanted to find higher office more than he. Despite that, however, Faraga took great pains to lift up his other colleagues, striving to keep them on his side. There was a reason for this, of course. He had been around to see the end of the Magic Division, his former stomping grounds. This Magic Division boasted immense power, once upon a time, but now it was dismantled, a relic of the past. Perhaps it was a sign of the times, but they had grown to be judged as too inefficient for warfare. That was the main reason. People think that magical warfare is this flashy fireworks show, but in reality, it boils down to a few core tenets: analyze the enemy's magic and interfere with it. In the meantime, you'd activate your own magic and try to strike the enemy's army. Repeat ad nauseum. This tended to never produce significant results, mainly because magically enhanced knights were much stronger in real-life battle situations. For example, nuclear magic, regarded as the most powerful kind out there, took around a dozen sorcerers to invoke. No one person could cast it, and the time to construct, or cast, the spell was far from trivial. Some champion-level fighters could indeed control nuclear magic solo, but at best they could engineer an explosion the size of a football field. A direct hit from this was powerful enough, yes, but armies could have the anti-magic shield legion magic cast upon them, and only group magic had the power to overcome that. In other words, individual magic casters were not expected to be active contributors on the battlefield. What's more, while it was important to have the necessary number of casters on hand, it wasn't a case of more is better. Every battlefield had only so many magicules to harness, and once they were used up, magic users were essentially useless. Thus, while wizards and their kind were indispensable, they were not seen as star performers in battle. Faraga was an excellent wizard in his own right, an art he honed studying under Gadra. He respected his teacher, honoring what he taught him, and he didn't neglect his own diligence, either. But then he realized something. With Gadra helping to modernize the armored division, they would soon have no place left in the military. The times were changing, and soon there would no longer be a need for well-trained casters. With the right spell gun, even ordinary people could control extraordinary magic. And Faraga hated Gadra for it. He felt that his master was strangling himself through his own actions, but Gadra rejected his pleadings at every turn. And so the magic division declined to nothing. And that's exactly why I betrayed my teacher and swore my allegiance to Sir Calgario. The move had earned him his current position. He took in the people who worked under him, all talented magic casters, and gave them a place to shine. And someday, sooner or later, the Flying Combat Corps would enjoy the honor of being called the strongest in the world. Until then, he'd happily kiss up to his colleagues and keep a low profile. That was Faraga's plan, and he kept to it with a strict discipline. Now, finally, the perfect opportunity had arrived, an operation to defeat Veldora. The Flying Combat Corps had been chosen as the keystone of the mission. The Corps plan was to contain Veldora with their magic cancellers while assisting the other units. Logical support was one of their original roles, but they were exempted from it this time. 300 of their airships, out of 400 total, were on other missions, and the remaining 100 were staffed by elite sorcerers to the limit of their capacity. It was a completely battle-focused formation, which showed just how much importance Calgurio placed on this operation. Faraga understood well enough that he needed to succeed. We'll perform out here and prove our usefulness. It will be a new era for us. He smiled to himself. Once that new era dawned, he'd no longer have to curry favor with the other officers. The tables would be turned, and nobody would be able to ignore Faraga's wishes. That was how he thought his life should be, and he never doubted it for a moment. Compared to defeating Veldora, this isn't much of a warm-up at all, but fair enough. Those flying lizards and earthbound dogs are good practice fodder for our new weapon.
Why should we share the credit, I ask? By the time we're done, Lieutenant General, you'll owe us big time.
Faraga lifted the wine glass in his hand as he shouted.
Comrades, we have been patient until now, but that ends today. It's time to show them our true power.
Yeah!
The crew drowned him out. As a sorcerer who should have been among the elite, he could no longer face the reality of the hardships he had to endure. All that humiliation was about to be overshadowed by the glorious days to come. Every member of the crew was of one mind, and in tune with this, 100 airships stepped up their attack. The most unique feature of the airships was their magic-canceling engines, but they were also equipped with other cutting-edge weapons. These were controlled by magicians well-versed in elemental and summon magic. An airship's structure could be roughly divided into 3 sections: operations, defense, and offense. Each section was assigned a crew of 100, with another 100 serving as reserves, liaisons, and medics. The operations section, needless to say, operated the airship. At least 50 people were required to keep a ship aloft, but if the fleet wanted to operate at full strength, not even 100 were quite enough.
That's it for this video, guys. Thank you for always watching my videos and supporting my channel. Shout out to the new members of AnimeKouhai supporters: DragonSpawn666, Adrian, Teddy, Marvin Emmerich, Juice, Alex Gomez, Mario Jun Baagen, Jacob, John Wong, Judah Herrera. Thank you so much for helping out. I'll see you guys in the next video.